every successful person was turned down. Research, whoever you want. Whether you want to go in, look at Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs was fired from his own company because they said he lacked vision. Steve Jobs. Welcome to Life of a CISO. I'm Dr. Eric Cole, your host, and we'll be taking you on a journey each week on what it takes to be a CISO and what are solutions that you can implement today if you are currently a Chief Information Security Officer or if you want to be one in the future. This is Life of a CISO. Welcome, 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 welcome. You know what time it is. It's time for Life of a CISO with yours truly, Dr. E is in the house. It's funny, I should have been more deliberate because everyone jokes now that my call sign is welcome, 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 right? That was never deliberate. It was just how I started things off, and I guess it's worked, so I got to keep doing it. So welcome, welcome, welcome. When you hear those words, you know what time it is. It's ready for 30 minutes of being world class. What I want to start off today, and like I said, I always tailor these based to the trends that I'm seeing, the feedback I'm getting from coaching, and the live Q&A. And by the way, if you're not joining us, we started a couple of weeks ago and it's been amazing, is every Thursday at 9 o'clock, we release our Life of a CISO podcast. That's this, the welcome, 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 right, with yours truly. And it's pre-recorded, 30 minutes, giving you what you want, what you need, and what you need to become world class. But then what we started, so we've always done that for over a year. What we started doing, though, was at 9:30, we're now doing a YouTube live broadcast where yours truly live anywhere in the world. The nice thing is it's 9:30 East Coast or it's 6:30 West Coast if I'm traveling. So I always make time for it. And then I join you wherever I am in the world live, and I just take questions from the audience. Now, many of you have been joining me. I know we've had a pretty good turnout. We get some great questions, great interaction. But if you're not joining us, you're missing out on another great opportunity. Remember, I'm here to serve and help. And we have a lot of free resources, right? This is free. Podcast is free. We're always giving you great content. I'm also making myself available for about 30 to 45 minutes every week to do Q&A with you. So if you have questions that you want answered, I urge you with this, join early. Because what happens with the YouTube Live that I do, the Life of a CISO Live, is 7 to 7:05, the questions are a little slow. So those actually get the most attention. Because if I have less questions, I'm going to give more time and attention to it. Then at about 10, 15 minutes into it, I start getting a lot of questions. And then if you post your question at the end, there's a chance I might not get to it because we usually have more questions than we do have time. So the trick is if you want to get your questions answered, join early. Join exactly at, I don't know what time I said, 9:30 a.m. East Coast. Check social media because the times might change. But right now, that's when we're doing it. But join early, ask your questions early, and you'll definitely get them addressed on the system. But I also want to let you know, in addition to all these great free resources, we also do have some paid products. So we have our Premier CISO certification that we offer, which is 6 months, group coaching, 40 hours of knowledge transfer. But we're also releasing some lower ticket items, 3, 4, 5-hour courses focused on things like how to become a CISO, how to get a job. And that one is great because I take you through my entire 4-step process of tailoring your CV, applying for jobs, interviewing jobs, and closing the deal. So if that's something where you're not a CISO and you'd like to become a CISO, we have great resources out there for that too. So definitely, if you haven't gone to secure-anchor.com, definitely look around, follow us on social media, and you'll be able to find all the different free and paid content that we have out there, depending on what you want, what you're looking for, and how quick or fast you want to accelerate your career. Now, one of the things I've been getting a lot is I want to become a CISO, but I don't have enough experience, or I want to become a CISO in a year. What do I need to do to be able to get ready so I can start applying for jobs in a year? Or that number's different. I get people, I'm going to start applying for a CISO in 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, 24 months. And my question, back to you is this. Why wait? Why a year? When you said in a year you're going to start applying for CISO positions, what math did you do to say that a year is the magical number? Because I'll be honest with you, most folks, they just put a number out there so they don't have to deal with it today. Right? 6, 9, 12 months, there's no real analysis that went into it. It's just a future date, so I don't have to worry about it now. But 2 questions to you on that. One is, if you want to start applying for a CISO in 3, 6, 9, or 12 months, doesn't that mean you have to have a tailored CV? Because if you wait 12 months to start tailoring your CV, you're not really going to be looking until 15 months. So there's things that need to get done in order to be ready to do that. And then my question goes back to the original question is, why wait? Why not today? Well, okay, let me ask you this question. You're telling me that if tomorrow you got an offer to be a CISO at a Fortune 50 company, getting paid a base salary of $500K and a total comp package of $1.2 million, you're telling me you would turn that down. You're telling me that you are not interested and you would turn that down. Now, a few might say, yeah, I would turn that down because I'm just not ready personally or other reasons. But I would say 97, 98% of the people I work with would be like, oh yeah, I would take that in a second. So then my question goes back to, what are you waiting for? Why are you waiting? Why not start applying today? And here's the best part. The reason why you want to start today is 2 reasons. One, your CV is probably not that good. And your interviewing skills are probably really, really rusty. When was the last time you interviewed for a CISO position? If this is your first CISO position, never. Which I'm, remember, love in my heart when I say this stuff. But that means you're not very good at it. Right? Very few people are good at something they've never done. The way you get better is by doing it over and adjusting, adapting, and getting feedback. So my question is this, even if it is true that you want to wait 6 months, 9 months, or 12 months, why don't we focus not today? We're not focusing on getting a CISO job. That's going to happen in 6 months. Wink, wink, wink. I can't wink, but pretend I winked. Wink, wink, wink. I'm playing along with you. So in 6 months, that's when we're going to do it. So right now, today, all we're going to do is focus on getting our CV ready and honing our interview skills. That's all we're doing. In order to do that, we have to apply to jobs. But remember, we're only, wink, 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 right, applying to those jobs just to get feedback on our CV and to hone our interviewing skills. We have no intention of getting a CISO position. That's 6 months, 9 months, 12 months. All right? And now we start doing that process. Because first thing you want to do is do what I call the 20 test. And the 20 test is this. Apply to 20 CISO positions with your current CV and see how many initial interviews you get. Because let's make it clear. The sole purpose of your CV is to get the first interview. Let's even be more clear. The only data point they use to determine if they want to give you a first interview is the CV. So the CV is basically your entry point into the process. A good CV gets you a ticket to the game, gets you admission to the club. A bad CV, you don't. So it's real simple. How good or how bad is your CV? So apply to 20 jobs. If you apply to 20 jobs and you get 0 callbacks, it means one thing and one thing only. It doesn't mean you're not good. It doesn't mean you're not CISO material. It doesn't mean you don't have the skills. It means that your CV does not properly represent a CISO. Because if it did, you would have got a callback. So now we're not letting emotions get in the way. We're not going after limiting beliefs saying, we stink, nobody wants to hire us. No, no, no. It's merely a fact-based decision. We're letting data drive decisions that your CV, when somebody looks at it, is not screaming world-class CISO. My bet is it's screaming world-class security engineer. So if you apply to 20 positions and you get 0, you have a bad CV. That's it. It has nothing to do with you. Your CV is not good. If you're getting 5 to 10 callbacks, you got an okay CV. Your CV screams good CISO, but not world-class, so you want to tune it just a little bit. And if you're getting 10 to 15, you're solid. Now, still a little tuning, right? Because you want to get as close to 18 to 20 as you can, but you're in pretty good shape. But now you're letting data drive decisions. But Eric, what if I get 0? Go back and start looking at their CVs out there on the internet. Start looking on LinkedIn or other areas of CISO. Find CISOs for places that you would like to work. If you want to be a CISO for a Fortune 50 bank, go and find out who the current CISOs are and look at their CV. Now, I'm not saying lie and make up stuff if you haven't done it, but I bet you there's ways to position things differently and better. The number one feedback, every resume that I look at, and if you join any of my paid programs, one of the services I provide is I'll do a review of your CV for you. But one of the things I see time and time again, people that get below 5% interviews for 20 jobs that they apply to, the number one commonality is on their CV. They have their name, and the first thing on their CV are technical skills and certifications. Now, question. If you're applying for a strategic position and companies are terrified that you're a security engineer and you're not going to be strategic, and the first thing you tell them is technical skills and technical certifications, you are telling them you love your tech. You are screaming world-class security engineer. You are not screaming world-class CISO. Get that out. You want to start with your experience, and you want your experience to highlight that you are a world-class CISO. Then, once you get that CV tuned, so you're getting 12 to 15 callbacks for every 20 you apply to, which that could take a couple months, then you start interviewing. And the goal is for every 2 jobs, you get 2 offers. Yes, that's a high bar, but if you're world-class and you are that good, you should get an offer for every job you apply to. So that's our goal, 100%. So now, if you interviewed 5 jobs and you got no offers, you need to work on your interviewing skills, right? You need to hone in and work on those skills and get better in those areas. And that could also take a couple of months. So doing this whole process, getting to the point where when you apply to jobs, you're getting 15 out of 20. And when you interview for jobs, you're getting 100% offers. That, depending on where you are and where you're starting, could take 3, 6, 9, or 12 months to do. Right? That could be a very long process. So that's why I urge you to start now. Start doing the work now. And if you get a job, great. If you don't get a job, it's not going to hurt you, because remember, the companies that are looking for CISOs today are not going to be looking for CISOs in a year. So it's not going to do any negative. There's no harm in my approach and only positive benefit, which is really the theme of today, which is don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to apply for a job. Don't be afraid to ask for a promotion. So many people are so afraid of no that they never ask. I get all the time when I give keynotes or I talk or I tell some of the stories and the things I've done and the people that I've hung out with and the stages that I've been on, and they're like, Eric, you're so lucky. Now, once again, don't get mad at me. Right, with love in my heart. Luck is a word that lazy people use to explain successful people that work hard. There's no such thing as luck, right? There isn't. Now, maybe you can point to somebody winning the lottery. I don't go that route. But the point is, it's not luck. It's I'm not afraid to ask. I'm not afraid to go in and send somebody really big. I want to be on your show right now. And I'm going to be. It's going to happen. I know for a fact. It's just going to take a little time. But I know for a fact I'm going to be on Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan is moving in that area where cybersecurity is becoming important, right? He already talked about TikTok and China, some of those issues. It's merging. And I am going to be on a show. I ask their producer, sometimes based on the events and things that are happening, multiple times a week. And I keep getting no. But here's the thing. They haven't filed a restraining order on me, which means I can keep asking, right? That's what I always joke is no does not mean no unless they file a restraining order. Then you probably might want to stop, right? Because things are getting a little creepy, right? At that point. But if that's not happening, keep asking, right? No is not no. No just means not now. So keep going, keep going, keep going. I know eventually there'll be a yes. And I know every no is one step closer to that yes. So if there's something you want, whether it's being a CISO or accomplishing a goal or getting a promotion at work, keep asking. Keep asking, because here's the fact. If I just assume, and I'll just use my Joe Rogan, if I assume that Joe Rogan will not want me on his show, and I don't ask, what is the probability of me being on a show? 0, right? It is 0. If I never ask, right, it is 0. Now, if I ask, what is the probability? 0 or greater. Now, it still could be 0 for the short term, but there's now an option that it could happen because I actually was willing to ask. And this is the secret. The secret to all world-class people is they were told no a lot, but they didn't take no as no. They kept asking and asking and asking. Every successful person was turned down. Research, whoever you want. Whether you want to go in, look at Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs was fired from his own company because they said he lacked vision. Steve Jobs. Oprah Winfrey was fired because they told her she didn't have a TV face. They said she didn't have the skills for being on TV. Tom Brady, he was not picked first round. He was picked as a backup quarterback. Think about that. All of these people that we think as world class, as we put as the greatest of all times in their respective fields, were told no, were turned down, were rejected. The only difference is they didn't take that as a no. They said, I'm doing this. I'm just going to wait for the right opportunity, and I'm going to keep showing up and showing up and showing up. And with every one of them, guess what? They eventually got their yes. They eventually got their opportunity. That's what makes world class world class. So I urge every one of you, don't take no. The way I look at life or any area that you're trying to accomplish something, it's like a Where's Waldo puzzle. If you're not familiar with Where's Waldo, research it. But the idea is Where's Waldo are these picture books or posters that are super busy. So imagine a 8x11 picture that just has things all over the place. And somewhere hidden in that picture is this little Waldo dude. And your job is to find him. Now, here's the funny thing. I know people that spend hours going through every inch because it's a puzzle. Like some people like crossword puzzles or those other things. Some people like the Where's Waldo. So they'll spend hours not giving up, and here's why. Because unless the artist is messing with them, they know there's a Waldo in there. So they have a conviction that there's a Waldo somewhere in that picture, so they won't stop until they find it. It could take them hours, it can take them days, it could take them weeks, but they are so confident that there's a Waldo in there, they will keep going until they find it. What if that's our analogy for life, but instead of Waldo, it's a yes? What if you had such a strong conviction that there was a yes in that future that you didn't stop? Just like in that picture, you're so convinced there's a Waldo, you will keep going until you find it. What if that's how you approach life? What if that's how you approached getting a CISO position? That you know for a fact that there's a yes out there, that you are not going to stop. Because it's a guarantee. The yes is a guarantee now. What's not a guarantee is whether it's going to take 10 no's, 100 no's, or 1,000 no's. But the point is, there's a yes out there. And if you are so focused on the yes, you are so focused that you will be a CISO, you will be a world-class CISO, that no matter what anyone says, no matter what feedback people give you, you don't stop. You do not take no for an answer. Do you realize when they were starting Microsoft, over 1,000 investors told them no? I don't know about you, but if I was in college and I'm starting my first company with a friend of mine, and we went to 10 or 11 investors, and they all said, that's stupid. That's a really bad idea. There's no way that's going to be successful. How many people would have said that they're probably right and went back to college? Now, for those that wouldn't, let's crank it up. We're now at 100. 100 different investors told you no. 100 of the best minds in the business told you no. How many people would have gone back to college? Probably most of them. 500 no's. 800 no's. Right? When you start getting up to somebody who's told no thousands of times and continue to believe in their idea, and then they finally do get the funding and become billionaires, that is a very narrow elite group of world-class people. But that's what makes world-class world-class. So you have to convince yourself that it doesn't matter if you apply to 100 CISO jobs or 500 or 800. They just don't recognize your talent. They just don't see how amazing you are. And you're going to keep going because you have such a strong conviction in yourself that you're not going to stop. That is what's going to make you world-class. Now, the key part of that is you have to overcome limiting beliefs. And I've done many on limiting beliefs shows, so you can go back and listen to them. But the point is because if you believe, if there's even an ounce of belief that you're not CISO material, at some point after 50, 100 or 200 jobs, you're going to toss in the towel. That limiting belief, that little ounce, is going to get bigger, 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 and eventually you're going to believe it. It needs to be crushed. There needs to be zero doubt in your mind. Your empowering belief is you are a world-class CISO, and you are a world-class CISO. Boom, that's it. Right? There is no doubt in your mind. That needs to be your conviction, because once that becomes your conviction, nothing stops you. 100 no's don't matter. 200 no's don't matter. 300 jobs don't matter, because you are so convinced that you are world-class that it's going to happen. And by the way, This is true of all successful people. Do you realize the Beatles? And research all the stuff. Don't take my word for it, because I'm sometimes off by a number or two. But research all this. Do you realize the Beatles were turned down not by one record label, not by 2 record labels, not by 3 record labels, not by 4 record labels, not even by 5. We go into a second hand. The Beatles were turned down by 6 different record labels. Now let me ask you a question. How many bands out there that could have been world class, after 2 record labels turned them down, they went and said, yeah, this isn't going to happen, and they took another job? What if the Beatles did that? What if the Beatles, after the 4th record label said no, or the 5th record label said no? What if they tapped out? They wouldn't be the Beatles today. But because they believed that they were a world-class band, even before anyone knew who they were, they believed they were a world-class band before they got a single record label. They believed they were a world-class band before they sold any records, that it didn't matter. The number is irrelevant to them. They knew they were going to get a record deal. It didn't matter if it was 4, 6, 9, or 12 rejections. They knew they were going to get a record deal. Do you have that level of conviction? Do you believe in yourself that much that you know for a fact you're going to be a CISO? You know for a fact you're going to be a world-class CISO. And I will tell you, at least with me, when I get my eyes fixed on something, and I know it's going to happen, like I said, I'm going to be on the Joe Rogan Show. It is a fact. It is going to happen. The more no's I get, the more it energizes me. The more it excites me, because I know I'm one step closer. Every no is one step closer to a yes. That's how you know you have the conviction. Because you might say, Eric, how do I know? Well, first, if you quit, you know you don't have it. But second, if you're applying to CISO jobs and you're getting frustrated and you're getting angry and you go, yeah, I'm just not sure. Stop. As soon as you say, I am not sure if I'm CISO material, you're done. Boom, you've been punched in the face. You might as well at that point give up, because you've basically told yourself it's not going to happen, which means you might go on a little longer, but eventually you're going to tap out. So you need to keep going through it, getting your conviction, figuring out your purpose, getting your beliefs. Like I said, go through the previous podcast and get so strong. And when you're getting to the point where when you get no's, they excite you instead of disappoint you, that's when you got the jet fuel. That's when you got the magic power, because you are going to be a CISO, but you have to believe it, and you have to make sure you don't give up on yourself. So don't be afraid of no's. Remember, Where's Waldo? Go and do some Where's Waldos, and that will show you the conviction. When you do a Where's Waldo, you are so convinced there's a Waldo, nothing will stop you. What if you had that same level of conviction with your life? That you know there's a CISO position out there, that nothing is going to stop you. And here's the coolest part. I believe in you, and I know that you're a world-class CISO. The only thing that's going to stop you is whether you believe in yourself. Don't let a no stop you. Let it energize you. And the farther you go, eventually that yes is in your future. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Life of a CISO. We'll see you next week, and make sure to join us on our CISO Lives, where you can interact with me and ask whatever questions you have. Have an amazing week.